My in-laws slid a 22-page document across the Christmas dinner table and told me to sign it before dessert was served. My father-in-law smiled and said, "This is just how our family protects itself, sweetheart." My mother-in-law patted my hand like I was a child who needed explaining to. My husband sat completely silent. What none of them knew was that 3 months earlier, I had quietly acquired controlling interest in the bank that held every single Caldwell family mortgage. I picked up the pen, looked at every face at that table, and put it back down. My name is Nora Webb. I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment in Cleveland, Ohio. My mother worked checkout at a grocery store for 22 years. My father drove a school bus until his knees gave out. We never took vacations. We never ate at restaurants that had cloth napkins. But every single night, my mother said the same thing while washing dishes. "Nora, nobody can outsmart you if you never stop learning." I never stopped. Full scholarship to MIT, Masters in Financial Technology at 23. By 27, I had built a payment processing platform that quietly became infrastructure for 6 major financial institutions. I sold it at 31 for $64 million. I reinvested quietly, deliberately, and without any interest in being recognized for it. I met James Caldwell at a charity auction in Boston. He was warm, funny, and genuinely kind in a way that felt rare in the rooms we were standing in. On our second date, he told me his family could be difficult, but that he was his own person. I believed him. I should have tested that belief before the wedding. The Caldwells were Connecticut old money. Richard Caldwell had built a commercial real estate empire across New England. Susan Caldwell ran the family's philanthropic foundation and treated generosity like a performance sport. Their daughter Ashley had her father's sharpness without any of his discipline. From the moment I met them, I felt the temperature drop. Susan asked me twice what my parents did for work. Not once. Twice. The second time she already knew the answer. She just wanted to say the question out loud again in front of her friends. Richard called me Jimmy's girl for an entire year. Ashley once asked me, with a perfectly straight face, whether I had ever considered going back to school. James said nothing, every time. He had a remarkable talent for being in a different room whenever his family aimed something at me. Christmas dinner was held at the Caldwell estate in Greenwich. 16 guests, a catered meal, a table long enough that you needed to raise your voice to speak to the person across from you. I wore a simple black dress and arrived holding a bottle of wine my CFO had selected because she had better taste than anyone at that table. Before the main course was finished, Richard stood and cleared his throat. "We have a small family matter to address, he said. Susan produced a manila envelope and placed it beside my plate. Ashley refilled her wineglass and looked at the ceiling. James went very still. "It's a postnuptial agreement," Richard said. "Standard protection for family assets. Our attorney drafted it. Completely reasonable terms." "Sign it before dessert," Susan added. "We'd like to enjoy the rest of the evening without this hanging over things." I looked at James. He was studying the tablecloth like it contained instructions. I picked up the document. 22 pages, heavy cream paper. The kind of paper that announces its own importance before you read a single word. I turned to page 18, where the asset exclusion clause was buried in language designed to be exhausting to understand. I set it down. "I have something to share first," I said quietly. Richard smiled the way men smile when they think patience is the same as power. "In September," I said, "I acquired a controlling interest in Meridian Capital Partners." Silence. "Meridian holds the note on your December refinancing, Richard. And the one that came due last week." Richard's smile didn't disappear. It simply stopped working. "It also holds the mortgage on this property." Susan set down her fork. "I'm not calling anything," I said clearly. "I want to be absolutely clear about that. I have no interest in your business. What I have is documentation. And what I wanted was, before I put my signature on 22 pages of cream paper, was for everyone at this table to understand what the actual conversation is. Ashley opened her mouth, closed it. I looked at James directly. Did you know about this document? He looked up. They said it was a formality. They always do, I said. I stood, buttoned my coat, picked up my bag. I'll be at the Whitmore tonight, I told James. If you want to have an actual conversation, not a Caldwell conversation, I'll be there. I looked at Richard one final time. Merry Christmas. The room stayed completely silent as I walked to the door. Outside, the December air was sharp and clean. My car was at the end of the circular driveway, parked facing out. I drove through the iron gates without looking back. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. How was dinner, honey? I smiled and typed back. Educational. She sent a heart emoji. Some tables are worth leaving. The hardest part is understanding that walking away from the wrong seat is not losing. It's finally sitting down somewhere that deserves you.